Chief Nichols,
What?
I'm here to ask for your blessing to marry your daughter.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Looking at the soldier's firm eyes, the officer decided to give him a chance. As long as the soldier can hit a bottle 15 meters away, he will agree to the soldier's request. And this challenge should be an easy challenge for the soldier who is the ace sniper. Faced with this result, Nick felt very disappointed. But he didn't know the lies and truth behind it. The officer has always been fond of his daughter. He can fulfill all her wishes. But he never allows his daughter to fall in love with a soldier in the military camp. Because of his years of military life, he knows that the soldiers are self-absorbed and won't take care of girls. And before meeting the soldier, his daughter also behaved very obediently. But on the first day he entered the military camp, he was greeted by the boys' initiative. Ella's answer is very perfunctory, but it can't hide the boy's love for her, as if the first meeting is eternal. But under the constant urge of his teammates, he can only say goodbye to her for the time being. The next day, the boy entered the restaurant again, just to look at Liang Yin, this carefree girl. I thought the frequent rejection would make Nick give up. But unexpectedly, Nick had no intention of giving up at all. So in the following time, Nick started his daily questioning. Although Ella rejected Nick without hesitation every time, the subtle eye contact between the two had long been captured by everyone. With the passage of time, Ella's expectation for Nick deepened. She found that she began to look forward to his every appearance. Finally this time. A red dress showed her unique and elegant temperament. Facing her father's question, she cleverly made up a lie and claimed that she was just going to watch a movie with her best friend. But her father was worried. He asked again and again if there were other boys traveling with her. After getting Ella's confirmation, her father let her out. But he still didn't forget to tell her to go home before 10 o'clock. The night was dark. The two walked in the park. Ella told Nick about her father. But Nick didn't take it seriously, because he also agreed with Ella's father. Looking at Nick's deep eyes, Ella's vigilance gradually disappeared. She began to tell Nick about her feelings. In the gentle night, Nick is like a patient listener. He carefully captures every word of Ella and gives her the right answer. And he and Ella actually have similar experiences. After a deep conversation, Ella became curious about Nick. She also noticed the uniqueness of this boy. So she encouraged him and asked Nick a question she cared about. Some guys think it's okay to talk to more than one girl at a time. I'm not one of those guys. You're the only girl I want to be talking to. In the moment, all the doubts in Ella's heart disappeared. The flower of emotion also bloomed. The two seemed to be drawn by the power of the invisible. They couldn't help but get closer to each other. However, just when the love was gradually warming up, the best friend suddenly appeared and broke the ambiguous atmosphere. I thought this romantic night would end. But as they parted, Nick gave Ella a kiss. Ella left with a heart full of joy. However, it was already 11 o'clock when she got home. She couldn't help but be happy to see Ella's face. Her mother knew that her daughter was in love, but her father never dreamed that the other party was really a soldier. And what surprised them even more was that this soldier would completely change their daughter's life. The next morning, Ella planned to invite a friend to her house as a guest. After hearing this, she asked if he was the date last night. Ella knew her father's concerns and smiled and explained that he was just an ordinary friend. Nick stepped into Ella's house for the first time, but in a blink of an eye, her father noticed something strange. Nick's hair was neat and tidy, more like the standard hairstyle of the army. So he started a series of soul questions and was afraid that Nick would accidentally say the wrong words. Ella quickly helped him out. However, this action made her father more convinced of his suspicion. After lunch, her father suddenly ordered Nick to wash the dishes. Nick was a little embarrassed, but he still accepted the task in a gentleman's attitude. Ella was extremely dissatisfied with her father's behavior, but there was nothing she could do. 6 months passed in a blink of an eye, but her father's requirements for Nick were not reduced. One evening, Nick was about to leave after lunch, but her father asked her to clean up the warehouse. Her mother wanted to speak for Nick, but her father insisted on letting Nick go to the warehouse. When the warehouse door opened, he saw a pile of 30-year-old miscellaneous goods. This made Nick helpless, because he had a class at 6 a.m. tomorrow. However, her father said, the next morning, Nick, who was confused, found his father. He couldn't understand Ella's father's behavior, but the priest only used 8 words to answer him. This is a test of sincerity. Nick could only use this as a consolation. However, everyone's endurance was limited. One afternoon, Nick was tutoring Ella to do homework. The atmosphere in the room was so sweet, but her father suddenly appeared and broke the silence. Nick stood out in the sun to weed the grass outside the door, while her father leisurely drank Coke. Suddenly, Nick's hand was stabbed. He asked for a new pair of gloves, but his father insisted on this one. Although Nick saw a new pair of gloves in the warehouse yesterday, his father firmly denied it. Nick had no choice but to continue weeding. However, he was stabbed by weeds again soon after. And this time, he couldn't bear it anymore. Nick sensed his father's ulterior motives. He guessed that his identity might have been exposed. So he hurried to find Ella and hoped to confess everything to his father. But Ella refused his advice, because she knew that his father would never accept her relationship with the soldier. But he's always walking by the river. How could he be safe? On the day of Nick's execution, he accidentally ran into Ella's father. Then he found Ella angrily and accused her of breaking the agreement between the two of them. Everything was seen by his mother. It was also the first time for him to see his daughter disobey his father. His father is stubborn, but Ella is even more stubborn than him. Once she has identified a man, she will never let him go easily. On that day, Nick suddenly told Ella that he was transferred to a remote place to work. He kept silent for a long time. Ella asked him how to deal with their relationship. Nick looked like a childish man. Ella thought he was going to break up. Unexpectedly, she obviously underestimated Nick's determination. When your true love comes, no one will choose to be a deserter. But if they don't want to get married, they must get blessings from their father. I know what he's been like, but he's still my dad. Nick knew Ella's concern. But for their future happiness, he decided to work harder. So the next day, Nick took the initiative to find Ella's father. He wanted to have a good talk with her father, but her father took her directly to the bar. He asked Nick to put a good bottle of wine first, but the bottle was not safe. Ella's father pulled the trigger without hesitation. Are you insane? Nick was angry, so he came to his father. His father didn't say much. He just made a condition. As long as Nick can hit the bottle 15 meters away, he will agree to Nick's request. And this challenge is a piece of cake for Nick. Nick gradually lost his confidence and couldn't stand the indifference and rejection of Ella's father. At the same time, he also realized that this kind of life that always needs to hide is not a real life. Even if they decide to get married, they will also become an unbearable partition in his family. So Nick made a difficult decision. He chose to break up with Ella. After breaking up, Ella was in a heavy mood and found God. He told God about his confusion. He asked God, since Nick has chosen to give up, should he continue to stick to this relationship? Faced with Ella's confusion, God didn't give him the answer directly, but asked him a question. Imagine that Steve did leave. After getting the answer from God, Ella came home with tears in her eyes and tried to express her true feelings to her father. She told him that she really loved Nick. She hoped that his father could understand and support her choice. But his father didn't seem to listen to her. It was late at night. The light in the room was still bright. She sat alone in front of the table, wiping her shoes over and over again. Her mother suddenly walked over and stopped her. She knew that her husband had a special habit. Whenever she was afraid or nervous, she would wipe her shoes all night to calm her emotions. And this time, her father was afraid of losing his daughter. At the same time, her anxiety was due to her doing something wrong. The next day, Nick was on duty at the door as usual. However, Ella's father came to the door again. And this time, unlike before, he called Nick to the side. I just have one question for you. After receiving a reassuring answer, her father took out the wine bottle he had been hiding. It was the wine bottle Nick had been practicing shooting within the shooting range. A bullet hole appeared on the bottle. For a father who has been in the battlefield for a long time, this is a rare opportunity. But Nick, with extraordinary talent, turned the impossibility into reality. At this moment, her father was very proud. He believed that he was like Nick, a good soldier who could protect and take care of women. Before you transfer, no matter what life is like, a daughter is always a father's weakness. And this family, which has faced many challenges, under the understanding and endless efforts of the public, finally came to the right track. In the blessing of a father full of love, Ella and Nick stepped into the hall of marriage. The godfather, as the witness, witnessed their happy moment. From this moment on, whether poor or rich, whether sick or healthy, they will love and cherish each other until the end of their lives. Just as people expected, the life of Nick and Ella after their marriage depicts happiness and sweetness. They walked through more than 40 autumns together. Every corner of the world has created countless warm and precious memories. What's more precious is that this story is not fictional, but real events have changed. The two protagonists in reality also went through a wonderful journey of life.